Welcome to this episode of Chatting with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got Jeff Turner. What's up, man?
What's up? How you doing?
I'm good.
Good.
Thank you for taking the time to come on my show, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no doubt. Before we get started, make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell so you can get my videos every time they drop. So, you have a crazy past, man. I saw you on Concrete, I think it was.
Yeah.
And you were talking about counterfeiting, and you want to explain to the people who you are and where you're from before we get
Um.
into the counterfeiting aspect.
So I'm Jeff Turner. I'm 35 years old. Grew up in like Tampa, Florida, Clearwater, all that, St. Pete, that whole area. Um. And yeah, pretty much like a kind of a normal childhood. Just I'd say your average Florida dude. Growing up down there.
Was like a
Uh,
middle class family growing up.
yeah, pretty much. Um.
Like you
Uh,
had everything you could ever want, right? You didn't need for things, or
Oh, well, I
was it?
mean, no, we weren't, definitely didn't come from like a well off family. Like my parents do all right for themselves now, but when I was younger, you just your average, like, I guess like lower to middle class. Um, but yeah, like it wasn't bad. Nothing really. Well, I guess in my from considering my group of friends, it was average. But I mean, I got into drugs pretty early on. I'd say started like smoking weed, selling weed, doing oxys and all that stuff when I was like 16 about.
Yeah.
And sold weed throughout high school. Started kind of doing like Percocets. Um, nothing too crazy at that point. Um,
Did you have a
got
job? Did you have a first job?
first job. I think I worked at Publix supermarkets. It's like a huge grocery chain.
Bagger, right? Being a
Yeah,
bagger. Yeah,
yeah.
I was a
I,
bagger too, man. Food
I,
mart.
16 years old. I did that for like probably 6 months, a year. But then I like kind of working at Publix gave me a little paycheck. So then I started buying ounces of weed and selling weed on the side. And then I started making enough money selling weed to where I quit the bagging job. But um, I sold drugs for the majority of my teenage years and adult life. But never really got like too extreme with it. Like I never moved like kilos or anything like that. Just kind of enough to get by, get drugs for free. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And of
I
course
used
that
to do the same stuff, man. I
yeah
used to
that of
do all
course
of it all.
developed a drug addiction. You know what I mean?
Did you?
Um,
Is that what got you into making the money?
um well, I mean, I guess so, kind of. Like I first tried it when I was like 18 or 19 years old, and at that point I was just kind of like a hustling kid, you know what I mean? Trying to figure out ways to make money. I tried counterfeiting. Um, I was selling drugs. You know, any lick that came across, I was down for it. It just anything, you know what I mean? Just kind of a crazy, stupid young dude. Uh, but the counterfeiting thing, like I got the idea. I tried to do it a little bit, and at first, they looked horrible. I didn't really, because it was just a spur of the moment. Let's, I'll scan these bills, print them. Um, they
Were you
didn't look
using an
good.
8 inkjet printer at first? Is that what you
Yeah,
were using?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Were you trying to bleach $1 bills or $5 bills?
Well, I did that too. I've done it all when it comes to that. So like at first they looked horrible, and I just stopped. I think I was like 18 years old, so I just went back to selling weed. And then like maybe 6 months later, I I read a lot, you know what I mean? So I was just strolling through Barnes and Noble, looking through books, and I found The Art of Making Money, which is about the counterfeiter Art Williams up in Chicago. So I bought that, read it, and it kind of opened my eyes a little bit because it kind of explained how he did it and like how he cracked security features, and you know what I'm saying, like sandwiching two sheets together to put a strip and a watermark.
Yeah.
Um, and I believe he used Chromaflare chameleon car paint, like color shifting car paint.
Yeah,
Um,
in one of your interviews, you said that you used blush or something like
I
makeup, right?
yeah,
Eyeshadow.
yeah. See, so like, and that's the thing, man. The longer I started doing this, like my methods kind of tweaked and advanced. You know what I mean? I'd do something for a couple months, and then like I just realized that this other way is better. So then I'd switch that up, and it just progressively got better and better until the bills looked pretty fucking good
Yeah, but
towards.
so you said that you were going around getting paper out of Bibles, right?
Yeah.
And you were
So
getting a couple sheets out of each book or something.
yeah, that wasn't until later. So like I did it a little bit when I was 19 years old, and I got them to look pretty good. I was selling them to one of my friend's dad's friend, this fucking guy from Tampa. Um, and then my friend overdosed and died. So like I couldn't sell him to his dad's friend anymore. So I just stopped for a long time. But I did that for probably like 6 months, 8 months.
Like, how much were you making around that time?
Not a lot. I was probably I probably sell him like $5,000 worth for like 1,000 or so once every
So
couple weeks.
where would you get all the paper for the 5,000? Because that's a lot of paper, right?
Um, well, yeah, I guess so. Back then, I did it a bunch of different ways. Like I would do the bleach bills, and print the hundreds on them. I tried just getting ordering cotton paper, really thin cotton paper, and sandwiching two sheets together. I mean, I've done pretty much, I mean, many different methods. I wouldn't say everything you could think of, but like everything that I've read, like I'd read an article about how somebody else did it,
Yeah.
and I'd try that. You know what I mean?
Have
So
you
like,
ever had any like close calls where you were trying to use the money and you almost got caught?
not
I'm sure
back
you
then, not at all, because
know.
I wasn't spending them back then. When I was
Oh,
younger,
so
I
you
would
would make it and pass it off to somebody else to do it.
well, somebody was buying them from me. So
Oh,
I just
and then
dealt with one guy, and he was buying them off me.
now what
Um,
if they got busted or anything? Did you ever pass it off and they get caught?
no, not back then. Back then, like yeah, I was just dealing with this one dude through a friend of mine, and then my friend overdosed and died. So I kind of just stopped counterfeiting for years. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
like cut the connection off, right?
Yeah, I just and at that point I was like I was like 19 years old. I wasn't what I'm saying, it wasn't back then. I was making like $1,000 every couple weeks. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like this huge moneymaker. I was selling drugs. It was just kind of one of those hustles I had.
Yeah.
Um, but then fast forward years later, like I end up getting married, having some kids, and moving up to Knoxville, Tennessee. So once I'm up in Knoxville, I'm still doing drugs recreationally. I kind of stopped selling drugs,
What
but
year
I
is
still had
this?
I moved up to Knoxville probably, shit, I don't even know when. Maybe 2012, maybe somewhere around there. Um, so yeah, I still have this drug addiction, but I get a job in like the sign industry, doing sign install service,
Yeah, like outside
stuff
of
like
buildings, signs outside
yeah.
the buildings. Yeah.
Yeah, so I did that for a bunch of years, and then I ended up getting fired from my job. Um, and through, I should say, through the sign industry, I kind of got into like graphic design through the sign, the sign business.
Yeah.
So I learned a little bit of graphic design since I was 19. You know what I mean? So basically, I lost that job at the sign company, and like me and my wife and kids were renting a house in Tennessee, and like our lease was almost up in a couple months, and I get fired from this job. So I was like, fuck. Um,
Yeah, you're like in a
I need
hard spot, man. You got to
yeah,
think of something, right?
yeah. At the time I'm addicted to heroin. You know what I mean? Spending $200 a day on heroin alone. Plus,
Basically, you're working to feed your habit, right? And you're just
oh yeah,
maintaining. I know how that life is,
yeah.
man.
I mean, I was all
Really?
right. I was making all right money at this sign business, but I had 4 kids, a wife, a car, house payment, car payment, insurance, all this stuff, plus a heroin addiction. So yeah, like I was making all right money working at this sign business, but it was still like I was living paycheck to paycheck. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So basically, I get fired, and now I'm in a situation to where like I'm gonna be homeless in a month or two if I don't, what I'm saying, figure something out, make some money. Um,
So like in that situations, what's your first step? Like, you're in that situation, you just lost your job. Like what's your first step? To go buy a printer, to go look for the paper? Like what's your first?
I already had a computer and a printer. Um, it wasn't a good printer. It was like, but coincidentally, it was a good printer for starting because it was a very cheap printer. It's a Canon MG 2520, I believe it is, and it's like $40 at Walmart. It's a cheap printer,
Yeah.
but that specific printer has a setting on it to where you can print. If you go to like the settings, the printer settings, there's a color sample setting to where like you could print if you had an image on the computer and press this color sample, it would print a bunch of little pictures of whatever the image was with all different color schematics of
Yeah.
different shades of the different colors. So, and I haven't seen a Canon printer that could also do that since then. So like
So what?
that,
You're just matching the bills, matching it to real bills.
well, yeah, that's how I originally, because a big part of counterfeiting is matching the colors. You know what I mean? So like, um, so that made the first couple steps pretty easy because you could print like basically a template of all these different color schematics. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So like I edited this image to where I had on like Photoshop, I'd have just the background color. You know what I mean? And I could print that first. So if I press that color sample on the background color, it would print out like a bunch of different little pictures with all these color schematics underneath each one. So
Yeah.
then I take a real bill and color match, which color looks the most like it, and then
And when
based on that, I'd have the color schematics to print the settings. You know what I mean?
so when it would print it, would it have the little films in it, like like on a real bill, would it have the little films in the paper?
What do you mean films? The security thread?
No, isn't it like the bill's made out of like mush, right? And it's like little films, little
Oh,
like
the fibers, the red and blue.
fibers. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Does
See,
it
with
print
those,
out the fibers to make it look like the fibers are in it?
um, now see, so like there are certain like that little security feature I never really bothered with, and at first, like I was, I wanted to make these bills perfect. So, like at some points, I would take like a blue and red colored pencil and sharpen them super fine and just kind of lightly, you know what I'm saying? But it was like then I started making enough money to where it was like no one's noticing these fucking red and blue fibers, bro. Like, and I'm sitting here, it's just a waste of time.